Okay, so we're going to talk about some of our steps that we've taken with trying to implement our plan to address the issue that our school noticed of the lack of student discourse that's been taking place, and how, even though we have really high scoring students in our school, we want to try to find ways to help them improve still. And one of those areas is the ability to communicate verbally and communicate effectively, vocally with other people, with our graduates. And so increasing student discourse is a way that we saw to work on that and build those skills across all courses in our school. And so I just wanted to ask you guys to share with us what are some of the steps that we took as we're going through implementing this plan to increase student discourse in all classes.
Yeah, I know that focusing on the research that we looked at about student discourse and how it can how it engages the kids in the content. I mean, I think that was really important as a team to see the different ways that the kids could engage in those discussions and look at the content as they talked about it. So I think that was a really important step for us to get that training initially, right, and get exposed to that research.
And the strategies, I liked the different strategies that were offered, some things that I didn't even think about. One was, draw what you're thinking, and so that was kind of a surprise of, it pulled in some of our artistic students versus, visual learners, that kind of thing. So I liked all the different strategies that were presented, and that's what I liked.
When we did those presentations at the beginning of the year and we did the PD on discourse, even though we had spoken on it, I hadn't done a lot of those personally, and I've been using where you provide kids each day with a bank of words that need to be kind of weaved into your English teacher, into your conversations, and that has been really helpful. I teach our CCMR kids, and they often just need like a little prompting, a little scaffolding. So each day I put 5 words up, and I just try and I'll count like, oh, I heard Micah say, today we're talking about the things they carried. I heard them say brigade. So that's a make a point or something, and that has been helpful. Not just reprimanding them when they don't do it, but like, here's how to do it, right? And now it's working every day.
Yep, the strategies are amazing.
Turns into more of a positive reward ahead of time rather than punitive if they don't
absolutely
do it during the lesson.
Yeah.
Could you guys tell me a little bit about what was something that you guys, like a role or responsibility that you took on in this process going through?
But I was able to lead some professional development several times on these topics, so I think that was kind of my role with that. And I've heard lots of good feedback from others who also did the same things. So that was a great opportunity for me, learning opportunity to be able to teach adults. Right, I spend all my time teaching seniors, but they're not quite adults yet. So
try telling them that.
Yeah, exactly. But teaching professional adults who already have degrees and things is a little bit different. So that was definitely a learning and a growth step for me in that process. But I've heard a lot of good feedback from the faculty about those professional developments that we did.
And in my CTM, we have our main goal is professional communication and taking it to the next level on a career step. And so we've created a rubric and an evaluation survey that the teachers are going to give the students and provide feedback, and that's been a good tool to use in our CTMs.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
I know you talked about the growth opportunity for yourself. I've presented to faculty before being part of the leadership team, but being put on a team with other teachers who were new to this and not having to, that was like another opportunity for me to help guide them to then go and do what we've been doing of trying to help present to other adults. And so it was like two different steps of helping adults prepare to teach to adults. So we're we're just going over some of the reflection from our plan for increasing student discourse on our campus. You and I talked previously, and I met with some of the other team members talking about how this was identified as a need because our students here are already so great. You and I talked about this before. They're scoring so high on so many standards, but we don't want to just be happy with that, right? We want to keep moving it forward, and so we identified like the ability to communicate verbally and effectively as something that we can work on increasing, and student discourse was a major way to do that. And so in reflecting on how this has been going, putting this plan together, we talked about putting together a collaborative team to plan this. And one of the ways that I saw from my end for sure was the GLT members working with administration to plan how we're going to communicate this to faculty and be able to, you know, get the point across of what this is, what it means, and then provide steps and tools and you know, and methods to apply this, because it's, you know, discourse isn't, you know, a test you take, it's all kinds of things. And so we need to make sure we clearly and succinctly communicated to our faculty, here's what this is and why we're trying to do this, and here are some ways you can do this, let's go try it. Was there anything else that from your end you saw about putting together, you know, our people that were part of all this?
No, I mean, I think that the biggest thing that, and this is what we talk to you guys about all the time, is it's one thing for administration to go top down and say this is what it is. It's the other side from the GLT to be like, this is, you guys identify the problem, right? So when you talk about the work of the GLT over the course of, we've done this for years now, right? But like we started with identifying that student discourse was one of our problems. So then it comes to, how do we communicate that? And so this is the other side where it doesn't do any good to do top-down professional development. And so this is why we encourage you guys to work together in y'all's big collaborative team, but also the smaller collaborative teams to come up with very specific strategies, things like that, whatever the course of the PD is. And so we've talked about having PD scheduled. We did right at the beginning of the school year, and we've got one scheduled per quarter that we're going to touch base. And the idea is that we're going to, as we do that, we're going to pull student data to then, do we change? Do we whatever with some of that? Do we keep stay the course, pivot, whatever that looks like? And so from the collaboration standpoint, I think the most important thing is that it's done at that level with the GLT to represent the staff, more importantly than just saying admin thinks that we need to do whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a big part of, like, we talk about being collaborative. It's not just telling them to do it and they listen well. It, you know, coming from admin is one thing, and it's important, and we should listen. We should do what, you know, what admin wants us to do, of course. But admin has, you know, that separation of position, that the message comes across a little different. But when we include the guiding leadership team that's made up of other faculty members, them then talking to their peers, the message just comes across a little different. Same message, but the delivery and the person giving it is you know, can have a lot different impact, and
Sure.
and giving GLT members the ownership of making, like you said, just like here's this like framework of the idea, go make this and present it how you want to, and that not only that way, like you said, like top down, like the GLT to the people, but also the other way, like the GLT members getting that work with the admin creates an avenue of communication there that, like, it kind of breaks down that supposed barrier. Like, it's, you know, it's not technically there, but it kind of is. Like, we always, there's a separation there professionally. And so being able to meet and collaborate actually with administration, it's kind of like seeing behind the curtain, you know, when you've just been teaching and then suddenly you're on a team that's making effective steps and working in conjunction with admin. It's much more collaborative and feels like you're working together, not just like them standing up and saying, we're all in this together, which sounds great, but it doesn't really communicate to me in a very real way that we are. And so if we get to meet with, you know, the administrative team, that tells them that this is important, you're important, we value this message and we value you and how it comes out of you to the rest of our team, because we feel like it'll, you know, it's not just a tool, it's, we genuinely think that you will maybe do it better than us, or that they will receive it better from you. So I really enjoyed that collaborative side of you know, both directions, from the faculty to the administration.
Well, I mean, and also, like, when you look at what we do from a PLC standpoint, right? Like, if we talk about what's the purpose of collaborative teams, and it's to benefit students, right? But the purpose of collaborative teams is for us to get better. And so sometimes that's lost from a GLT perspective or whatever. That's a collaborative team as well. And so we all get better because we're working together. That's the reason why teachers leading teachers is a big deal for us, because teacher advocacy, the belief that we can actually do it and they can make a change, is big. One of the number one contributors to student growth. And so we want to make sure that we're putting that out there to where teachers believe that what they're doing is the right thing for kids. And the only way to do that effectively, from our opinion, is teachers lead teachers.
Yeah.
So,
And I talked about this in another meeting with a group of teachers that were talking about our implementation of student discourse training for our staff. Talking about like how we saw each other grow through this. Me having been on the GLT before, I had some experience of putting together training and getting in front of the staff, but then we had kind of a variety of experience, you know, because we do like a 3-year rotation of it. So we had some staff members that were completely new to GLT, and while they've experienced teaching, they have experience with that side of getting up and presenting, speaking, or, you know, teaching to adults. And that's, you know, the most experienced teacher that's been in front of kids for years, it's a different animal getting in front of adults. And so just the sitting down planning, I know that my broken down team that I was working with for that, a big part of our first conversations were nerves.
sure.
Like we were like, here's our topic, let's build this. Oh my gosh, I gotta tell this to adults, and they're kind of, you know, freak out moment a little bit. And so literally part of our conversation that I tried to help facilitate for them was just the building their confidence, just encouraging them that no, you're just as competent as any of these people. We're just talking to our peers here like you would in, you know, in the work or whatever, except that it's very purposeful and has a direction, and it's something that's very valuable for us. And so I got to see them kind of course they stepped up and did well. Teachers are great at accomplishing tasks, right? Like we build those for kids to do all the time. So they're great at, here's a task, I'm gonna go put it together. But the other step that they were kind of scared of, that I felt like they were going to be great at, because we have great personalities on our GLT.
Sure.
I just tried to like encourage them along the way, and then ultimately, even walking in with nerves that existed, because everybody gets a little nervous right before you speak or whatever, they did great, and like just shined in talking to the staff, and the follow up was a lot more positive. Of like, okay, that you know, like you were saying, that went well. Our staff received it very well. They were very, I don't want to say cooperative, it sounds like they would be uncooperative, but they were very participatory. They did what was asked of them. They were talking about it. They wasn't, you know, begrudgingly doing the task and whatever. They dove in, and like we had to kind of redirect, like, okay, let's move the conversation back along our meeting process. And so they actually did a great job. And so for my side of it, I got to not only see, you know, me working with admin and building this plan, and then presenting that to staff and seeing staff go out and do that, which has been cool. Mm-hmm. But I also got to see those team members grow in their first chance of getting up in front of faculty. And so that was for me a good taste of, you know, what's, you know, trying to work in administration is. It's about kind of leading people to lead people, and that's you know, one of the big motivations for me getting into this process. And so I really enjoyed that part of it, as well as the lesson went off, and we had great, you know, feedback from our staff about that. I really enjoyed the part of just working closely with a team that was very nervous and thought they were going to do horrible, and then see them do great. And honestly, there were in my period that we presented, there were 3 of us presenting, and I think they presented better than I did, even, because the nerves went away and they knew their stuff, and they're just good. And so I enjoyed that side of it, of getting to see them, encourage them, and then see it, you know, just work for them. And that was really rewarding to me.
Well, and I think that one of the things that you learn in this deal is, like, as admin, I don't get to sit in front of students very often. Not in give a presentation, not in teach, right? I get to talk to students, we have great relationships, all those things. But as far as just presenting, that's not really a thing anymore. And so it's ironic to me that we focus on student discourse, because our goal is to get these students to communicate in front of peers. And we're like, why can't we get that? What are they struggling with that? The same thing that they struggle with communicating in front of peers is the same thing that teachers struggle with communicating in front of peers. And so